So you can see that the 3 lines here to activate the filter are still present next to our influence column label. We might not want those to be there anymore because we're not using it. In order to turn those off, all you need to do is go to data and then down here to turn off filter. And if you click on turn off filter, you'll see that that green highlight and those 3 lines disappeared and we're back to normal. So we found out how to remove 999 from our view here in the overall spreadsheet. But what if, and I'm going to click on these little arrows to see more, what if in our pivot table that we made before, I'm going to go ahead and rename this to pivot table influence. What if in our pivot table that we made before, we want to remove the value of 999. We don't want it to be included in our percentage of the total. We want to remove it. Well, an easy way to do that is to add a slicer. To add a slicer, you go to data and then down here below create a filter, you click on slicer. When you do that, it'll automatically bring up this gray sort of oval, and it'll bring up the slicer menu, which is here on the right, and it'll bring up all of your possible variables or all of your possible columns to select from. So we don't want any values of influence to be 999, so we need to select the influence column. It's important to see that apply to pivot tables is checked on this slicer because we're interested in changing our pivot table. However, this slicer is also going to affect our other table that the data comes from. It's going to affect our Miami data table if we want it to. So this is an interesting way for you to edit all of your different views at once. So I'm going to exit out of this editor, click on the gray oval. You can see it's blue because it has a blue outline because I clicked on it, and I'm going to click and hold to drag it over here to the right so that it's not on top of my data, so it's not covering our view. Then over here under the all drop-down menu, you click on this and you can see that we can filter right here in the slicer. And we can deselect 909, oops, I deselected 2. Deselect 999 as an option right here in the slicer and then click OK. When that updates, it automatically removed the row for 999 here in the pivot table. And now our percentages have also automatically updated because our grand total is different. So now we have 47% and 52%. So we can exit out of the pivot table editor again, and you can see here in our slicer, 2 out of 3 options are currently selected. So let's say we're done with that and we want to bring the values for 999 back to the way it was before. You just click on this drop-down menu once again and select 999 again so that all 3 have a check mark next to them, and then you click on OK. And then this is going to automatically update. It opens up the editor again here on the right every time you do that, so you can just close it, and now you can see that our percentages are back to the way they were before, and the values for 999 are included. If you don't want this slicer anymore, it's very simple. You just click on it and you hit the delete key on your keyboard to get rid of it. Now you can see the editor opened up, but it's nowhere to be found. The slicer is deleted.